people unearthing videos of Justin Bieber at Diddy parties. Now, Justin Bieber was obviously extremely young when he entered the industry, extremely innocent when he entered the industry, an industry that he did not quite understand as a boy who just knew how to sing and play the guitar and just did both of those things on YouTube. And then he was scooped up, and suddenly he was a part of people like Diddy going after him and saying, hey man, why don't you pick up my phone calls? There's actually a video of that. Diddy and Justin Bieber looks to be like 15 years old and said, why aren't you picking up my phone calls? And he's like, oh, I know you were trying to contact me through people and I don't have your number. And the next thing we know, Justin is at Diddy's parties. And in this one video, it looks like whatever Justin is doing, and I'm not going to show it out of just respect for the fact that I truly believe that Justin Bieber is a victim. But whatever he is doing in this video with Trey Songz and Odell Beckham Jr. looks highly suspicious. I can show you a still from that video because I think the relevant part is Justin Bieber is not sober. He is clearly very heavily under the influence at this party. And if you remember that lawsuit that the producer Rodney dropped against Diddy, he said that unbeknownst to all of these people, they were being drugged at Diddy's parties, that they were pouring out the liquor bottles and replacing it with other drugs. He kept speaking about this pink drug, this mix, this cocktail of cocaine and MDMA, and that people that think they're just drinking vodka or just drinking water are actually all being drugged. And then once they're drugged, they do very vulnerable things. It has long been suspected that the person that people are now putting the dots together in Kim Porter's allegations that Diddy had under his thumb was Justin Bieber, and that he may have done some inappropriate things with him. And what I will say is that this very much fits the narrative. You know, we saw tons of videos of Justin Bieber. When he got together with Hailey, he was crying a lot outside of churches. He was finding his way back to God, but he was having a lot of emotional breakdowns. And what I sensed from those public emotional breakdowns, and only public obviously because the press was following him, was that he was coming to terms with the fact that he had been engaged in darkness unwillingly. And Justin Bieber probably has a lot of shame about that. He probably feels shame, first and foremost, as a man, as a husband, and as someone who has successfully created a new life for himself with his wife, Hailey Bieber. And so what I want to say to Justin Bieber and to everybody that's following the situation is that Justin Bieber is a victim. I was horrified when I saw this, not because of the idea that Justin Bieber would be engaged in these sorts of things at these parties, but because I understood that this was a kid who was intentionally targeted by Diddy, as the videos show, told that he wants to party with him. He makes it clear that Diddy is trying to contact him through people. And then he finally subjects himself and agrees to give his number. And then we saw an entirely different Justin Bieber. We saw Justin Bieber who was always wearing sunglasses, who was partying, who was very obviously involved in drugs. He spoke at length about his addiction. And Justin Bieber didn't do that to himself. Like I said, Justin Bieber was, in my view, a child victim. And as these videos are circulating on the internet, I want to make sure people remember that and give him the grace as someone who has somehow survived this, turned to family, turned to faith, and is still very much struggling with all of this. For people to give him the grace and the courage and the prayers to hopefully one day find within himself the strength to speak out about what happened. Anyways, it seems to be that it is all falling down in Hollywood. There are tons of people who should be called out, people who weren't young like Justin Bieber, people like LeBron James, who has been outwardly speaking about how great Diddy parties are, traveling around with Diddy. This person is supposed to be the king. I'm waiting for the king to come out and to condemn this, to condemn what we all know now is a reality. They say that Diddy is on suicide watch, by the way. That is the latest update, that he might kill himself because he is in this cell. I beg to differ. As I said, I believe that this was an operation, that Diddy was not at the top of this operation, and that they are going to be very careful in how they handle him, because just like Kim Porter kept videos in order to protect herself. I am certain that Diddy similarly kept many videos of the record label executives that were allegedly involved in these parties as well as protection for himself. We will continue to monitor that story, but I do encourage everybody to pray for Justin Bieber. All right, guys, I want to take a quick second here to remind you about 7 Weeks Coffee. You're already drinking coffee, and 7 Weeks Coffee is America's pro-life coffee company on a mission to fund the pro-life movement one cup of coffee at a time. Why are they called 7 Weeks Coffee? Well, because at 7 weeks, a baby is the size of a coffee bean, and it's the same time a heartbeat is clearly detected on an ultrasound. That's why they donate 10% of every sale to support pregnancy care centers across the country. They have raised over $500,000 for these centers and have saved over 5,000 lives by providing free ultrasounds and other resources to mothers that are in need. Now let me tell you about their coffee, because I'm very, very particular about what I put into my body. It's mold-free, pesticide-free, shade-grown, and low acid. It's also organically farmed, so it truly checks all the boxes. Exclusively for my listeners, if you go to 7weekscoffee.com and use code Candace, you'll get up to 25% off your order. Remember that your order will directly help support a network of over 900 pro-life organizations across the U.S. That's 7weekscoffee.com and use code Candace for up to 25% off your order. All right, guys. So my unofficial correspondent, Ian Carroll, he's the guy that's on TikTok who does all of these deep dives. Very fun account for you to be following. We'll definitely include him in the links in the description here. So back in 2018, you may not remember this. I certainly did not remember this until Ian Carroll dug this up, but there was a shooting by a man named Jonathan Bodie at the Trump National Doral Hotel in Miami, okay? And this shooting is back in the news, like I said, because Ian Carroll has dug it up. And I'm going to tell you why this is now a very relevant shooting that happened in the past. But first, I'm going to let Ian jog your memory about what exactly took place that day. Take a listen.
This is from back in 2018, and it's sped up, and there's a couple places where the time lapses, and I won't show you the whole thing. But basically, this guy, Jonathan Bodie, walks in with a gun. Somewhere it just time-lapsed. He's got a giant American flag. He drapes it all across the counter. Pulls down the chandelier, he said. He shoots some rounds at the ceiling, and then he basically just stands there and waits for police to come. He smashes some for apparently no reason, like just committing crimes for the sake of committing crimes, apparently. And then he just stands around with a gun, and now the cops are outside, and he's like kind of giving up and surrendering, but maybe they're not realizing it or accepting it. So then he pulls out a gun, starts shooting at them, doesn't hit any of them as far as I'm aware. He runs out of bullets or something. Not sure what happens exactly, but at a certain point, he decides it's time to book it.
Okay, so why is Ian digging up this old shooting? Well, that man, Jonathan Bodie, had a very interesting interview with the police thereafter. And we were told at the time that he was just a madman who was crazy, because he was saying some pretty insane things, at least relative to 2018. Like I said, just at the time, they were insane. He said that he was a sex slave to Diddy and his then girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, that he was their sex slave and he had to have sex with them and other people, that he attended all of these drug-fueled parties. He then claimed that he was paid off by Diddy. And it's worth noting that Jonathan Bodie used to be a porn actor and a male stripper. And he claimed in that interview that he settled with Diddy for $1.25 million. Now, interestingly enough, NBC Miami investigators were able to determine some really rather suspicious financial facts about Jonathan Bodie, like the fact that when he divorced his wife back in 2014, he had a declared net worth of negative $1,800, and he was making just $2,000 a month as a self-employed fitness trainer. But less than a month after his divorce, he apparently fell into some money, a lot of money, because he bought 5 properties over the course of a 2-month period, for which he paid $765,000 cash. So I want to be clear, that's quite suspicious. Where was he getting all that money from? Maybe he was telling the truth about being paid